This is a little demo recording concerning the material from Chapter 5, which is about doing CRUD operations other than retrieve. Okay, so in case we haven't mentioned it before, CRUD stands for create, retrieve, update, and delete. So we've done the retrieval part, right? All the select is retrieving data from a database. And then creating, of course, we took a brief look at that last time. We'll do it again tonight. And then, quite a bit in this chapter 5 is about inserting values into an existing table, updating values in a table, and then deleting entries in a table. So I've got a database with a couple tables in mind like before, and I will go ahead and do, this is going to be a database about primary colors because I'm an artist and I'm interested in such things. So I'll create a database called primary colors, and then I'll create a table for the primary additive colors, additive primary colors, that'll just be called additive, and then another table for the subtractive primary colors called subtractive. You can look this stuff up or ask me in class if you have questions about any of it. So let me just go create database, and let's just call this primary colors. Like so. And there it is. I'm just looking for the green checkbox down here, as we know. And of course, we have to remember that to do the use command in here, so use primary colors. And then we don't have to type it in every time, which is a good thing. And let's go ahead and create a table. So create table, and this is going to be the additive primary colors. So we're going to get some columns in here. This is, by the way, this is stuff from the next chapter, so we're kind of jumping the gun when we do this, but I figure it's okay. We're just doing a little bit of create stuff. So actually, I'm not sure if it's the next chapter. It's from a future chapter, anyway. So for the first time, I'm going to be creating an auto increment primary key. So auto increment means that it will automatically, for every entry that's created, create a new numerical index for it, a new integer index. And then when an entry is deleted, that key that it had will never get used again unless we specifically say, yeah, I want to insert, ID 6 or whatever, but it'll never auto increment to that again if we deleted it from the table. So as long as you're not, entering them manually, then there will never be any duplicates, even from ones that are deleted. So the data type is going to be an integer. It's not going to be allowed to be empty. And then auto increment, that's what will just add the next number. We know what incrementers do. Add the next integer for every entry that we put in there. And then we'll call this a primary key. And then I'm just going to have two columns after that. It's going to be very, very simple. There's going to be one called color. And this is going to be, I think we can make this short. Within safety bounds, you make the variable characters as short as you can because that'll help with performance. And I'm also not going to allow this to be null. And then complement. So we're going to put in the complement of each color. This is also going to be a varchar, not varchar, but varchar 11, and also not null. Okay, so I think that's it. Very, very simple table, right? I'm going to do Control Enter, creates a table for me. Let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick. I'm going to do show columns from additive. And that'll basically just show us the table structure here, where these are the columns. I know they're arranged in rows right here, but they just kind of flip it for ease of reading. So I've got the ID, and there's the type, and primary key, and so on, color and complement. So cool. There we go. And let's go ahead and do some simple insert here. So this is the first thing from the chapter, I think, inserting values into this table. And I'll go ahead and do the explicit syntax, the long version. Insert into, and then additive. And then the longest version of this has you specifying all the different columns in here. So let's say I want to insert into ID, and I want to also insert into color, and I want to insert into complement as well. So I'll get a full entry here, and then we'll do values. And then we'll put in the values that we want for each one. So we're just going to put in one entry for right now. Now I know I was saying that you don't explicitly enter in the ID value if you can help it, but if you put in a value of default, then it just does the default value, which is the auto increment. So that's fine to do if that's the way it works out. So we'll default the first additive primary color is red. Red, green, and blue are the additive primaries. And the complement of red is going to be cyan. So let's just go ahead and do just that much. I guess I'll take this down to size just a little bit here. And we'll do the control enter. And we get the green down here. Let's go ahead and do a select all so we can check it. All from additive. And there it is. So we've got the ID 1, red, and cyan. That's what we've got in there. So next up, I'll show you just kind of a simpler way to do this. So you don't have to put everything in there. One thing, we do not need to have the ID because it auto increments anyway. So all we need is color and complement, really. And then we also don't need the keyword into. I tend to use this anyway just because that's the way I learn. But if you want to be a little more concise with your code, you don't actually need to put it in there. So you can just do insert additive, because I figure the into is superfluous. And then this time we're just going to get color and complement. And we'll do the values thing again. And we will put in, what's the next one? Red, green, and blue. So this is going to be green. And I'm going to enter in red for the complement. Do it down there. And then let's once again do the select all. And there it is. So now we've got red and the complement is cyan. We've got green and the complement is red. Now I just put in the wrong the wrong color on purpose, right? So we'll have to do an update on that because the complement of green is not red, at least not an additive. It's magenta. So we'll have to change that. But let's go ahead and get the other values in here first. So this time I'll do another shorthand where we're able to do more than one row at the same time. So let's see, insert into, yes, I just type it in by default, but again, you don't have to. And let's go ahead and make it so we put in all three of them this time again. So this is what you can do. You can leave off the column specifications altogether. I know that in my last recording I said, no, you got to put them in there. I was wrong. And it's been so long since I've done it this way. Sorry, where is it? This way, without doing the column list, that I just forgotten that you can. Let me go ahead and put underneath everything here. But yeah, you don't actually need to. You can get away with just doing it like this. Now, if you do this, if you don't specify any columns, then you have to put in all the columns. You have to fill in everything, unless it's a null value. So I will do couple of different ones here. So again, we have to do all the values, all the columns. We'll do default, and then next one is blue, and the complement is yellow. And then so what I've done is I've taken all these guys here and put them in, well, yeah, with the default, like we did up there. Put them in parentheses, and then instead of a semicolon, put a comma, and then you can do another one. And you can do as many as you want to. As many as the number of entries that you want to enter in here. So let's do cyan, and then that will be red, and then the semicolon, and that will do them both at once. So I'll go ahead and go up here, and we'll do a select all again, and there it is. So it entered in both the blue and yellow and the cyan and red. So there are a couple of mistakes here now, and one of them is what we were saying before. We'll have to update this so that this says magenta instead of red over here. Now, I want to get rid of this altogether because cyan is not an additive complement. It's a subtractive complement. So first things first, let's get rid of this extra one here. Now, so this is going to be the delete. And this one's pretty straightforward, but there are a little bit of quirks with it. So let's take a look. I'm going to delete from additive. And the all-important where clause really want to have the where clause in there. If you just delete from additive, you run the risk of deleting all of your rows from additive if you get to put the where clause in there. Same thing with updating. If you update a row and forget the where clause, you might update all your rows at once, and of course that is very destructive to your data. It can be. Now, MySQL Workbench comes with some safeguards here. Let's check it out. So let's say I want to delete just this row. I might say delete from additive where color equals cyan, and it should delete this row here. So where color equals cyan, and then I hit Control Enter, and I'm going to get an error down here. And let's see, I really want to, I keep forgetting, I really want this down to be in order here. So let me put it downstairs. There we go. So delete from additive where color equals cyan. Why didn't it work? And if you look at the error message down here, it says, oh, well, you're using safe update mode. You tried to update a table without using the where attached to a key column. So this is not a key column, right? It's wanting in safe mode for me to either reference a primary key or a foreign key. That's what it's wanting. Now, if you find this onerous, you can go into the preferences and take yourself out of safe mode, but I don't really recommend doing that. I would just leave it where it is, because this can save you sometimes. It really can save you from updating and destroying all the data in your table. So instead of going for the color equals cyan, let's go ahead and take another look at our table here. And we can delete this row from any of these three, except we're in safe mode, we can only use the primary key. So I'll just say, instead of where color equals cyan, I'll do where ID equals 4. So there it is. Delete from additive where ID equals 4. And I'm seeing green down here, so if we go up here and check it out, there it goes. That's no longer there. Cool. Now let's do an update on this guy before we make our next table. And this is also going to have a very important where clause attached to it, or else it's, again, very data destructive. But again, MySQL Workbench, if you leave it in safe mode, then it will prevent you from doing anything really nasty, or at least give you a little bit of a warning before it does, right? So this one, I'm going to not delete that whole second entry, but I'm just going to update it. Remember, if I delete it and then re-enter it, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, it'll skip this number now. It'll be 1, 3, and 4, which of course is not the end of the world, but if you want to keep things tidy, let's go ahead and just do an update here. So this is going to be update, and then the name of the table, and then the keyword set. So there are different ways you can update a table, but right now we're just setting values. So I'm going to set the complement value of this second row here to something else. So I'll do set complement equals, and then we're going to change it to magenta. And then again, the all-important where clause, and this time we already know. I can't say, oh, set complement to magenta where color equals green. Not if I'm in safe mode, I'll grab the ID. So where ID equals and 2 this time. And go ahead and do it, and then scroll up and do my select all from additive, and we can see the update there. And this is indeed the correct information. The primary colors of additive are red, green, and blue, and the complements are cyan, magenta, and yellow. So let's go ahead and make another table now. I'm going to make another one just like this one. And I know that I tell you, every new thing that you code that you're going to use, then go ahead and put it on a new line so you can save the whole thing. But I'm just going to go out and change some things about this one. So I've already created the create table additive here. I know subtractive is going to look exactly the same. So all I'm going to do is just change the name of the table here. Create table subtractive. The rest of it's exactly the same. It's just like having a snippet over here. And I'll go ahead and do that. And then let's show columns from subtractive. I like to do that just to make sure everything worked okay. And there it is. Yeah, it's looking just like the other one. So that's cool. So I'll hop back down to the bottom here. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to insert some values, but I'm going to pretend subtractive here. Let's go ahead and grab color and complement again, and then values. So let's say that I'm a coder. I'm inserting values into this thing, and I don't know what I don't know what the complementary values of the subtracted colors are. I know what the subtracted primaries are because someone told me, right? This book told me that they are cyan, magenta, and yellow, but I don't know what the complement, I don't know anything about color theory. So instead of hand coding them in, what we'll do is we will pull them from the other table by doing subqueries. And first, I mean, you already know how to do this using a join, but let's say we actually want to get it into the table. So we'll do both of them actually. We'll do a join on it now that I think about it, and then we'll do it the other way. So I'm just going to enter in the color and complement, and let's go ahead and put them all in at once here. So the first one is cyan, and I need to put in an empty string there if I'm not going to put anything into the complement. Remember that the complement, none of these columns I allowed to have null values in them. I put not null on all of them. So I can't just, leave it alone. Even if I say just color up here and then just put this value in, it's going to complain at me and say, hey, you can't have null values in complement. I also can't just type in null here. It's got to be like an empty string, some kind of value other than null. And I don't believe it can even be default because there is no default value set for it. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to do default either. You have to do an empty string like this. So that's what I'm going to do. Cyan, magenta, and yellow are the three subtractive primary colors. Let's go ahead and try that. And then we will do a select all subtractive just because we like to see what we've done and make sure everything's working okay. There it is. So we've got cyan, magenta, and yellow here, but the complements, they're not empty. There's an empty string in each of these, so there actually is a value there. So once again, see, I don't know what the complements are. Now, you already know from the last chapter that all you need to do is if all you need to do is grab that information from the database, from the different tables, then you can just do it very simply with a join. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do another select. And we are going to select the color from both tables. Yeah, the color from both tables, because we don't have the complement on this one. So let's go ahead and do, now come to think of it, I mean, we could just grab all the information from the first table, right? That's got all that information. But let's say I don't know that, right? So I'm going to grab color and color from additive, join, subtractive. And I want to give these guys an alias, so I'll call this one A, and this one I'll call S. And then, of course, we want to reference those up here. So I want A.color and S.color. You have to do that if you've got a row from both tables that it has the same name. You have to specify, or else it's ambiguous. Okay, so additive A, join, subtractive S on. Now, the colors here, I know, are the same as the complements over there. So I will do on A.complement, so if I'll spell it correctly, equals S.color. My brain's tweaking, but yeah, I think that's right. On A.complement equals S.color. Okay, cool. So let's try it. And there we go. So we got our information here, right? So we just did it with a join. So we don't have to do anything more with the table. But let's say we have to, for whatever reason, we have to actually update that stuff. The table, that is. So let's go ahead and do it, and we'll do the subqueries. Subqueries have always twisted my brain, and sometimes I've gotten them to work really easily, and other times it's like I'm scratching my head and looking up the documentation on mysql and looking at Stack Overflow and so on. It's one of those weird logic things that kind of eludes me sometimes, but I think these will be pretty simple. And there are going to be 3 of them that are all the same way. There are ways to do like conditionals in mysql and do it all at once, but let's just go ahead and keep it simple for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, let's go ahead and do one more time the select all from subtractive so that we can see it here. And basically what I want to do is wherever there's the color here, I want to say, okay, go to the other table, the additive table, and look at where color equals color there, and then find the subtractive. Oh, no, wait, look where the color equals the complement there. See why it's a brain twister for me, and then grab the color from that. So, okay, I better stop talking about it. Let's go ahead and just do it. So as we start out, simply enough, we're going to do update subtractive, just like we've done before, and set complement equals. Okay, so we've done this before, but now we're going to have parentheses here. Now when you see the parentheses and you see a query happening inside there, usually a select query, that's a subquery. So basically whatever I run in here on another table, it's going to run this first, and it's going to spit out the result and then set it to complement and run the big one. So it'll be a whole nother query inside of here, such as this one. Select color from primary, no, not primaries, I'm sorry, what do we call it? Additive, where complement equals cyan. Something else I'm never really clear about with these is how to break this up. Like I've got my own coding style and how to break up the lines here, but when we're doing a subquery here, it's like, I don't even know. I guess I could just go ahead and break it up here and tab this in by quite a bit. Something like that. Yeah, that might work. Whatever's clear. And I guess to be super clear, you tab into there and then you put spaces so that this is all equal with each other. That probably makes the most sense. Okay, something like that, so these guys are all aligned with each other. But now this is not enough. Remember, we still haven't put a where clause on this big query here. We've got a where clause on the small query, the subquery, but not the big one. So let's finish it out with this. We have to do another where clause, and we're updating where color equals cyan. So the where here inside the parentheses is referencing the other table. So it's looking for where the complement equals cyan over there. This where in the uber query is referencing color equals cyan in this table, in the subtractive table. So let's go ahead and check it. So I have no idea that the complement of cyan is blue, but I know that it's to be found in the other table. So I code it like this with the subquery and do Control Enter. And let's see, it didn't like it. You are using, oh, same old thing, right? Safe mode. So I can't do where complement equals cyan. I have to remember that, oh wait, it's just going to be where ID, well, let's see. I know I have to do it out here. Let's see if I can leave this one here in the subquery and just change this one here. ID equals 1. See, I'm not even sure if this is going to work in safe mode or not. Let's try it. Hey, it did. Cool. So wherever possible, yeah, it doesn't care if you grab stuff from another table wearing something here, because this, okay, that makes sense, because we're not actually updating this table, we're just updating subtractive. Okay, cool. So we updated subtractive, we set complement equal to this subquery that we pulled from the other table. Let's see how it worked. We do select all from subtractive, and we've got cyan, and yes, the complement of that is red. And the complement of magenta, let's go ahead and get the rest of these. So again, instead of retyping this, I'll just go ahead and change some things here. So we'll set complement, select color from additive, where complement equals magenta is the next color. And for this one, we have to do where ID equals 2, go away. And we'll do one more. Select color from additive, where complement equals yellow, which is the third color, where ID equals 3 here on the subtractive. And I'm seeing green down below. Let's select all from subtractive. And there we got it. Cyan, magenta, and yellow are indeed the primary colors of subtractive, and their complements are in fact the primary colors of additive, as you might expect from the names, red, green, and blue. So I think that's it. I think we're good. The examples from the textbook are more complex than this one. And when you do the exercises at the end, which I've already posted the assignment, the last three can be a little tricky. But number 5 and number 6, they do give you at least a little hint. And then the number 7, the last one, you might just have to go back and review the part on using self joints, or not joints, but what was it? I can't think of the word now. Union. A union when you're grabbing things from the same table. So anyway, that'll do it for this recording. Thank you.